This dude knows he's just a secondary character, so he can't get a harem. Therefore, a single love story is okay with him. But all the girls still reject him, even the one closest to him. After losing the hope to get any chicks, one day a miracle happens that changes this forever. A very big THICC miracle indeed. Our story starts with Jorah, a high school student, meeting his childhood friend Himawari on the way to school. They run into Sun Chan, a star baseball player and Jorah's buddy. Himawari, who is probably your everyday tsundere, doesn't know how to express her feelings, gets ticked off at Jorah, and storms off. Cosmos, the student council president, shows up to pick up Jorah for student council stuff since he's the secretary. Cosmos is your typical school beauty that every guy has a crush on. Of course, this doesn't bode well with the Tsun Himawari. In the student council room, Cosmos hits up Jorah, asking him out on a date for the upcoming weekend. Later that night, Himawari shoots Jorah a text, wondering if they could hang out together during the same weekend. Bro thought that fate was finally on his side and he would be living every guy's dream to build a harem, but what he didn't know was that fate was a very cruel bench. We'll get to that soon. Cosmos meets up with Jorah when they go shopping and have a picnic, the typical definition of a perfect date. At the end of the day, Cosmos asks Jorah to sit with her on a park bench cause she's got something important to spill. Seeing the whole atmosphere, any normal person would think or believe that she was going to confess her love for him after such a perfect date. But the whole thing was a setup.
What?
She explained that she developed feelings for him during last year's regional baseball game when she saw him upset and crying in the hallway. She says she's in love with Sun Chan and asks for Jorah's help in getting together with Sun Chan. She's for the street, but Mr. Nice Guy decided to help her out. Figured since he missed the first girl, he might as well get the second one. The next day, Jorah spends time with Himawari for their date. They have a great time eating and hanging out at the park. Towards the end of the day, Himawari asks Jorah to sit with her on a park bench because she has something important to tell him. You might already be sensing deja vu, but there is no way since they were even childhood friends and she's at Tsun, so this time for sure he was going to be asked out. Well, you would be wrong.
Oh, deja vu.
She confesses that she also has feelings for Sun Chan. She fell for him at the same basketball match where he was crying. She asks Jorah for his assistance in getting closer to Sun Chan. Bro lost to his best friend twice for the same reason. It's too much to be mere coincidence. There's a higher power at play against him. He doesn't let fate ruin his chance to get some chicks. So he uses every brain cell he has to come up with a scheme to pair one girl with his friend so that he can date the loser. The world becomes gloomy, and he starts to accept his mob character. What used to be Himawari's cute character now becomes annoying, especially now that he knows her feelings. He tells her that Cosmos is her competition for Sun Chan's affection, and that he won't take sides but will help them both equally. She thanked him at the same time, giving her an intimate hug to him. They plan a conversation with Sun Chan to allow Himawari to speak to him alone, but she messes up her lines before Jorah steps in to save the situation. Maybe, just maybe, she might be lacking a few screws up there.
Shut up!
Jorah meets up with Cosmos in the student council, and like Himawari, he sees Cosmo in a different light now that he knows where her real interest is. He reveals to her that Himawari is her rival for Sun Chan's love, and that he won't pick sides but will assist them both equally. She expresses her gratitude with actions that would have made his heart skip several beats previously, but now they just come off as manipulation to get him to do her bidding. They plan a discussion with Sun Chan to let Cosmos talk to him alone, but Cosmos forgets her lines before Jorah steps in to salvage the plan. Both Cosmos and Himawari may be sharing brain cells at this point. At lunch, Jorah hides from both of them and hides in the library. He is approached by Pansy at the library. He doesn't like her much cause she always insults him whenever they meet. She reveals that she has been stalking him, and that she threatens to reveal his plans to Sun Chan unless they sit and talk about it. And of course, it is fate, in the form of the same bench he sat through the previous confession. So it's the same exact atmosphere as the other two confessions. And like our MC, by this time, you should already know who she wants to confess to. If you thought of Sun Chan, you would be wrong. This time, Pansy confesses to him and not Sun Chan. He finally gets the trope he's been looking for, but it is from someone he doesn't like, so of course he freaks out. He politely turns her down, but she reveals that the one she likes isn't the Jorah who pretends to be nice to conform to the nice guy image he made, but the real Jorah underneath that speaks his mind. He firmly states he will never date her, but she isn't really interested in dating. but she wants both of them to spend time together in the library, and she insists that he plays his real self while he's with her. Those were the conditions for her to keep quiet about what he was doing. She's giving the Yander masochist vibe. The next day, they both meet at the library and have a love-hate conversation before discussing his plans for how he would help them. Himawari scored 2 movie tickets and asked Joro for assistance in giving them to Sun-chan, hoping to set up a private outing for Himawari and Sun-chan. Joro manipulates a social situation, but Himawari almost messes up the plan by being too excited. She's lucky she has a good wingman who is determined to score one of the 2 of them, so he saves the situation. Cosmos has homemade lunches, and she asks Joro for his help in giving them to Sun-chan so that both Cosmos and Sun-chan will be alone together. Joro manipulates a social situation, but Cosmos messes it up by acting like a samurai cause she's way too nervous. Sun-chan kindly invites Joro to join them on the lunch date, but Joro manages to save the plan and get them on a date together. Joro complains to Pansy that the other 2 girls are hopeless. Pansy suspects that there is probably something sus about the situation, but she decides to keep it to herself and agrees to help him so that she can spend more time with him. She tells him to figure out Sun-chan's type. Joro probes Sun-chan about what he likes in girls. Sun-chan reveals he's crushing on someone and asks Joro to sit, and you probably guessed it, the cursed bench. Bro's biggest op is a bench. Like the other 2 confessions, the atmosphere was the same, and it was even in the same basketball match when he was sobbing. But this time, the person he fell for was This is some weird type of love chart. Sun-chan asks for his help with getting together with Pansy, and he declines but tells Sun-chan not to give up. Joro then approaches Pansy, but she quickly discerns his intentions and expresses her anger, stating that she will only consider dating him and not Sun-chan. Sun-chan sees them and questions Joro. In the intense moment between Sun-chan and Joro, Pansy steps in to save Joro. She calls him a shady jerk and dips. Pansy texts Joro not to come to the library for a few days, and he spends his time working to get Sun-chan with Himawari and Cosmos. Cosmos summons Joro with bad news, emitting an aura similar to a demon king from an Ice Sky anime. Sun-chan asked her for help getting close to Pansy. The whole thing happened due to the misunderstanding he had between himself and Sun-chan. She accuses him of lying and betraying her by encouraging Sun-chan. She calls him a manipulative jerk and leaves, not even trying to trust him. Himawari summons Joro to tell him some bad news. Of course, it's the exact same scenario as Cosmos, and even when he tries to outwit the situation and give a better answer, it still ends the same with her calling him a manipulative jerk and leaves. Bro cannot win. Pansy summons Joro and implies that she has orchestrated this situation to punish him. Everyone else arrives and sees the 2 together in the library. They all accuse Joro of lying and manipulating them. He snaps and angrily tells them to go to hell, accusing Cosmos and Himawari of manipulating him and treating him like a convenient tool, even if all he has done is try to help them. He pulled a 200 IQ move to reverse the situation to be in his favor. That is before Pansy ruins his performance by announcing that he was only helping them so he could claim the unsuccessful girl. Sun-chan punches Joro, ends their friendship, and tells him to stay away from all 3 girls. Bad rumors spread throughout the school and Joro is shunned by the rest of the student body. Pansy invites Joro to the library and creates a situation where he can overhear a conversation between herself and Sun-chan. Pansy accuses Sun-chan of lying and entrapping Joro. He uses the feelings of the other girls to take down Joro's reputation so that he can get together with Pansy and punish Joro for not helping him. Sun-chan reveals that in middle school he was betrayed by Joro because his crush back then asked him for his help in getting together with Joro. This was his revenge against Joro. Sun-chan asks why she likes Joro, and she reveals that even with his manipulations he is still trying his best to make Sun-chan happy. She fell in love with him at last year's regional basketball match, the same basketball game where everything started, where Joro waited outside the match for Sun-chan with his favorite food to cheer him up even if he looked foolish. Joro remembers meeting a pretty girl that day while waiting for Sun-chan. Sun-chan, who believes that they are alone since nobody comes into the library, threatens Pansy. Joro reveals himself and he berates Sun-chan for manipulating the others and making light of the girl's feeling. He orders Sun-chan to apologize to them. Sun-chan agrees but states that his reputation is already gone with everything that happened. But our main character Joro says that he deserves it for the things he did, making Sun-chan realize that he didn't just lose to Joro with the girl, but he lost to Joro's manliness too, and he declares he has not lost yet to Joro. Held my breath for a second, but Pansy is truly the best girl for creating such an elaborate plan to reveal everything. It is revealed after Joro left that she had the other girls hiding in the library too. The next day, Cosmos apologizes to him and Himawari protects his desk from graffiti. Sun-chan also confesses to the class that he manipulated Joro's bad reputation, and his apology restores Joro's good name in the school. At the library, Pansy reveals she was the girl he met on the day of the baseball match, and that she is in love with both the kind and loyal Joro as well as the cruel and manipulative Joro. She kisses him. Joro has agreed to continue to meet Pansy in the library. Our boy Joro thought that he would be receiving some cheeks from the beautiful big-chested Pansy, but he is annoyed that she continues to hide her appearance. She states that she has to, as she is hiding from a stalker. She advises him to speak with his former friends and to regain their friendship. He goes to class and meets a Sanero who is part of the newspaper club. She is writing an article about the Flower Festival, an upcoming school event where a boy is chosen to dance with 3 girls and then chooses 1 girl. Joro notices Himawari is struggling with her studies and decided that would be the perfect opportunity to make up with her. He goes to Himawari, but she runs away from him. He catches up to her after she falls. She reveals that she is avoiding him because she has caused him so much trouble. After arguing for a while, they figured they both want the same thing, that is to make up and become friends again. They meet Sun-chan and challenge him to study together with them again. Sun-chan declines, but they announce to him that they want to be friends again. Sun-chan apologizes and they decide to become friends again. Talking with a Sanero, he gets a bad feeling and realizes he forgot to repair his friendship with Cosmos. He overhears her crying that he never made up with her even after she had been practicing reconciliation techniques. They make up and become friends again. Joro invites all of them to study together in the library. Cosmos is an upperclassman and is top of her class, so she assigns them to do 5,000 math problems. They all walk home together, and Joro is glad they are all friends again. You might think this whole scene is wholesome and Joro is genuinely happy that they are all friends, but that's far from the truth, as they all being friends is part of his ultimate goal, to build a real-life harem. Meanwhile, it seems like a Sanero has a ploy of her own and it might not end so well for Joro. The next morning, a Sanero approaches him and asks him to meet her on the roof.
Oi oi, マジかよ.
She nervously gathers the courage to tell him that she's curious about him.
Ecstasy.
She says that they shouldn't talk while standing and they should find somewhere to sit. Of course, it had to be the cursed park bench. I tell you, if Joro is the protagonist of the show, the park bench is definitely the antagonist. I would like to know who is the person who moves that bench everywhere. She confesses that she thinks he is a sleazy and manipulative scoundrel who is manipulating all the girls.
Pardon?
Frankly, she probably isn't off the mark with that one. Like every event that happened on the bench, she started noticing him during the baseball match where she caught him staring at a girl with suspicious eyes. Bro wasn't even trying to hide his lust. She shows him proof of this and accuses him of trying to become the protagonist of a rom-com anime, and threatens to publish an expose on his sleazy ways to the school newspaper. He firmly denies it, which takes her back a bit since she's not 100% sure it's true. She's right about his motive, but since he hasn't made it a reality yet, so she has nothing, although publishing that article would definitely ruin his reputation. She blackmails him into letting her follow him around to observe him, and if he proves he is not manipulative, she will not publish the article. They meet Cosmos, who reveals that he was picked as the boy for the Flower Festival, and that Cosmos, Himawari, and a first-year student were picked as the 3 girls, and this year she would participate because Joro is going to be the boy. The whole conversation adds more to the misunderstanding that a Sanero has about Joro. His lustful face doesn't help him much either. Joro meets with everyone and explains the situation, but the girls won't avoid him and Sun-chan can't help him. Joro and Cosmos go to meet the first year chosen for the festival, and they try to gaslight a scenario into thinking they are not that close. Honestly, have no clue why he would trust Cosmos to keep to the plan after all her failed attempts previously. They meet Kamada the first year, but she is horrified to see Joro, who has a reputation for licking girls' hallway slippers and has the nickname the Slipper Man down in the first year. Of course, this added more content for a Sanero's case, and strangely even Cosmos was taking notes for some reason. She ended up dropping out of the Flower Festival because of the rumors. Strangely enough, the whole thing sort of worked in his favor to convince a Sanero, although she still wants to continue to shadow him regardless. The third member of the flower dance was decided, and instead of it being a girl, Cosmos got permission for it to be Sun-chan. He practices dancing with his friends in preparation for the Flower Festival, but he discovers the next morning that a Sanero's article has already been printed and passed out to the student body. A Sanero apologizes to him and she will try to get the article recalled. But since Joro's reputation is broken again, his friends decide to distance themselves for now, and their library meetings and dance practices are cancelled. While feeling depressed and alone, Asunero walks up to him and tries to cheer him up. Asunero offers to dance with Joro as an apology for the article accidentally printed. Joro receives news that the flower festival needs a replacement, and since Asunero has been sticking by Joro since his reputation has dropped, he asks her to fill in for the dance. Cosmos arrives and asks to speak to Asunero alone, but Asunero refuses to come unless Joro joins them. Cosmos rejects Asunero's participation in the spring festival. Cosmos accuses Asunero of manipulation and entrapping Joro. She reveals that Asunero had been spreading rumors against Joro amongst the freshmen to get Kimi to drop out of the dance festival. Asunero had also forged the access log to the newspaper club to hide the fact that she was the one to print the accusatory article. Cosmos reveals the end goal was to isolate Joro from his friends and to dance with him in the flower festival. Cosmos advises her that this is no way to approach true love. She expresses her love and explains that it all happened in that one baseball game. Cupid must have been working overtime in that one game. She falls for him when he protects her, if that's the right word, from a ball heading towards her direction. Meanwhile, Bro was just trying to get a better view of Pansy's chest. Asunero confesses to Joro, but Joro rejects her for causing trouble for him and his friends and says that he will never date her. He cruelly says all this, but Cosmos reveals that he did it intentionally to give her a push so she can give up on him. It was also revealed that his friends never abandoned him and they were working in the background to get a third girl to the dance. At the flower festival, Joro dances with Himawari and Cosmos. During their dance, Cosmos reveals that she did not expose Asunero, and only she and Sun-chan know of her plans to isolate Joro, so he has nothing to worry about, and then she kisses Joro on the cheek. Pansy was revealed to be the third mystery girl, and the audience is shocked at her appearance. They dance and she thanks him for helping her by getting them all to eat lunch, study for midterms, and dance together. She now finally has some friends in high school. Stay tuned to see the next part of our boy Joro still trying to build his real-world harem.